InvestorIdeas.com Podcasts.
Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of InvestorIdeas.com Podcasts, looking at cannabis news, stocks to watch, as well as insights from thought leaders and experts. I'm Taylor Van Zandt, your host, and in today's podcast, we'll look at a few early announcements. But first, though not focusing on public companies, TheraCann International Benchmark Corporation, a leading full-service international cannabis consultancy and technology firm, as well as CannaCubed Pte. Limited, a pioneer in the China cannabis space with a focus on building the world's largest diversified cannabis operations. They jointly announced today an agreement focused on the implementation of TheraCann's molecular tagging ETCH biotrace technology for the industrial hemp and cannabinoid markets in China. TheraCann's ETCH biotrace platform uses both a physical molecular taggant and a non-appendable distributed ledger, so blockchain, to provide forensic levels of traceability of cannabis and cannabis derivatives at any point in the supply chain. Whether it's introduced at the farmer, processor, manufacturer, or at the packaging level, ETCH biotrace links a unique molecular tag to the cannabis plant that will survive extraction or conversion into new products within the supply chain. The rapid global adoption of cannabis legislation has accelerated the need to secure and truly validate cannabis supply. Current systems, many of which rely on RFID or barcode technologies, are capable of accurately tracking cannabis supply chains through the cultivation stage, but can't forensically track cannabis and/or hemp derivative products back to the specific source once the physical tag and packaging are removed or the products mixed with other supplies. Commenting on this, CannaCubed's focus will be the tracking inception of an individual plant or crop through harvest, processing, and distribution, all the way to the point of sale to the patient, said Glenn Davies, Chief Executive Officer of CannaCubed. This collaboration with TheraCann and ETCH Biotrace provides visibility into the cannabis chain of custody, tracking cannabis supply chains with the ultimate aim to create a successful, sustainable, and professional cannabis industry that's legitimately safe and responsible, bringing cannabis to China and the world. So why do I find this very interesting? That biotrace technology that they're creating there, the ETCH, sounds very intriguing, very interesting. That's the first time I've heard of a technology that rivals that. There are a lot of companies focusing on having that supply chain tracking system, but again, right now it still is more RFID and barcode technology. And again, there's a lot of blockchain technology getting involved, but not on that molecular taggant level. And also the fact that this is involving the China cannabis market, which you don't hear a lot about. It's still sort of a gray area as far as what might happen with China. And the other weird thing about it is that they're still one of the largest suppliers of hemp in the world right now, even though that's not talked about too often. So an interesting little piece of information. So looking at announcements for today, we have Canopy Rivers trading on the TSXV Venture as RIV and the OTC as CNPOF. HITI Incorporated trading on the CSE as HITI and the OTCQB as HITIF. Cannara Biotech trading on the CSE as LOVE and the OTCQB as CNBTF. And 48 North Cannabis Corporation trading on the TSX Venture as NRTH. So first looking at Canopy Rivers, who announced today with Biolumic Limited, creators of a sustainable ultraviolet crop yield enhancement system, a strategic investment from Canopy Rivers. So Biolumic extended the Finister Ventures-led Series A financing round to include Canopy Rivers' strategic investment of $1.5 million US, closing the oversubscribed round at $6.7 million US. So the financing was comprised of a Tier 1 investor roster that also included Rabo Food and Agro Innovation Fund and Radical Growth Acceleration Fund. So this marks Canopy Rivers' first investment in agri-technology, specifically focused on the promising fields of plant physiology and UV photobiology. With extensive global trials and traditional and high-value produced crops already underway, Biolumic will use the added investment to grow its team to support the acceleration and expansion of its UV light treatment initiatives, including applications in the medical cannabis market. Commenting on this, Canopy Rivers' mission is to build and support a thriving global cannabis economy, and we're dedicated to identifying and investing in strategic technology players throughout the legal cannabis value chain, stated Mary DeMoe, Director of Business Development at Canopy Rivers. Led by an exceptional management team, Biolumic's groundbreaking proprietary UV technology has the potential to significantly improve cannabis growth, vigor, and yield, promising an environmental-friendly, GM-free cannabis crop through the power of light. So why do I find that interesting? Again, Canopy Rivers' first investment in agri-technology. And we're seeing more and more investment in agri-technology throughout the market right now from multiple cannabis companies because, again, it's a necessity for their industry to find cheaper and more efficient alternatives to get their products to market. So 2 quick announcements from High Tide and Cannara Biotech. So High Tide Incorporated, an Alberta-based retail-focused cannabis corporation enhanced by the manufacturing and wholesale distribution of smoking accessories and cannabis lifestyle products, today announced it's received approval for the DTC eligibility. And looking at Cannara Biotech, an emerging vertically integrated cannabis company focused on the cultivation and sale of cannabis and cannabis-infused products in the Canadian and international markets, they announced that their stocks are now trading on the OTCQB under that symbol CNBTF. And they're still trading under their symbol on this Canadian Securities Exchange, LOVE. So two quick announcements just showing that High Tide again has gained DTC eligibility, which makes High Tide's common shares more accessible to investors in the US, and Cannara Biotech is also trading on the OTCQB, which again makes their stock more accessible to the US. And lastly, looking at 48 North Cannabis Corporation, who announced today that it signed a supply agreement with the Alberta Gaming, Liquor and Cannabis Commission, so Alberta's wholesaler of retail cannabis, and 48 North's supply agreement with AGLC was signed on May 15th and pertains to the calendar year of 2019. So under that supply agreement, 48 North will supply the AGLC with 2,460 kilograms of dried cannabis from its outdoor farm in Brant County, Ontario, named Good Farm, and other cannabis products such as the pre-rolls from its indoor facilities in Brampton, Ontario, the Good House, and Kirkland Lake, Ontario, the Delshen Therapeutics. Pending Health Canada approval, Good Farm is expected to produce an estimated 40,000 kilograms of organic, sun-grown cannabis from more than 3.7 million square feet of outdoor cultivation space. In early May, the company received its confirmation of readiness from Health Canada for its Good Farm application and is well prepared for harvest in the outdoors in 2019. Commenting on this, so 48 North is looking forward to delivering high-quality, sun-grown, sustainable, and organic cannabis to the Alberta cannabis market. Through today's historic agreement, the first to supply outdoor-grown cannabis to Alberta, 48 North has taken another meaningful step to respond to the market demand and provide a reliable and environmentally sustainable source of production for Alberta, said Janet Vandermaal, co-CEO of 48 North. So why do I find that interesting? It is a little bit of a milestone for the company as well as for the cannabis industry in Canada, because this is the first deal that we have seen with an outdoor grow operation. There's more and more of this happening in the US. There's a couple companies in Colorado specifically, as well as in California, that are very heavily focused on the outdoor growing, but in Canada it's still pretty limited, and this organic, sun-grown, sustainable cannabis, very interesting, and we'll see where that development goes and how they can actually get through that. Also, as Wednesday is colloquially known as Hump Day, there is a great article from leafly.com discussing the difference between CBD and THC for sex. The general gist is that CBD is better for after and THC is better for during, and there are some great specific talks with strains and actually a lot of expert talks in that article. So if you have a chance, I would definitely look at the link to the Leafly article, and it's a worthwhile read for anyone wishing to better evolve your sex life through cannabis. So happy Hump Day, and that's the end of today's podcast. That's all for today's podcast. Podcast is now a certified word trademark on the blockchain through Cognate Incorporated CM certification. InvestorIdeas.com podcasts are also available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and TuneIn. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor of this podcast, please contact InvestorIdeas.com. Investor Ideas reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the InvestorIdeas.com website, and this podcast is not an endorsement to buy products or services or securities. Investors are reminded that all investments involve risk and possible loss of investment. Investor Ideas does not condone the use of cannabis except where permissible by law. Our site does not possess, distribute, or sell cannabis products.